is certainly one of my favourite herbs. It is a staple in Greek Cypriot cooking and it's commonly used with chicken. However, there is a lot of variation when it comes to oreganos in their own right and marjorams. I tell you what, it does my head in, because when I go to Cyprus and I go to a village where a lot of my family's from, Pomas, it is famous for its oregano, and it don't taste or smell nothing like the stuff you buy on the UK especially. Now, I don't know why that is, but when I started to dig a little bit deeper, I started to realise a few things, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. Now, if you want to grow oregano, it is really not a fussy plant. There's two things it doesn't like. It doesn't like shade, and it doesn't like soggy soil. So if you can get a combination of the two, sunny and well drained, I mean, I wouldn't even have to say, I personally wouldn't say you have to grow it in amazingly rich soil, personally. I mean, I would do 50-50 compost, 50-50 compost mix. Hello, Bella. Oh, Bella, don't go in there. Come on, darling, no. Bella, can we have a cuddle afterwards, please? So really what you want is a 50-50 mix of like a sandy soil and a compost, and that should do it, because it likes well drained and it likes the sun. Follow them, you shouldn't go wrong. Now this here is a typical plant we get in the UK that's labelled oregano. Now I always notice this plant only grows maximum 30 centimetres tall, whereas the ones in Cyprus, or Greek oregano, can get 2-3 foot tall. And it's very, very erect, very, very strong bases. Now, this don't grow nothing like that. I don't know if you can see all this dead foliage here. This is the tallest it gets. And I thought it must be because this is marjoram. So the more I researched, the more confused I bloody got. Marjoram actually grows, has a more spreading, weeping habit. And there's many different types of marjoram. But there's also many different types of oregano. And I've come to the conclusion this is an oregano, but it's not. It's not the real stuff. It's not what I would call oregano. Oregano and marjoram have got the same genus. They're one of the same thing. Oreganum marjoram and Oregano vulgaris, which means there's very, very, very little between these two plants, and probably hence why the confusion. However, there are a lot of subspecies of it, and some of the differences within them subspecies can be overwhelming. So I'm not going to go too much into detail in the difference between marjoram and oregano, but what I am going to say is if you are going to grow oregano, try and get a decent strain. Try and get something that's going to be substantial, because I'll tell you what, when I was in Cyprus about 6 months ago, this guy at the side of the road goes and harvests the real stuff from that northwestern part of Cyprus. And I'll tell you what, you cannot bloody compare. Just one sniff of that will take you all the way over to Cyprus. There's absolutely no comparison. So there's all different types. So you've got the Italian oregano and you've got the Cypriot, the Turkish. Now, it's common knowledge that the further east you go in the Mediterranean, the oregano gets harsher, it gets a bit more tangy, it gets more spicy, it gets more aromatic. That might have something to do with the terrain. Any herb, most herbs that are very aromatic come from places where it's more of an arid landscape, and it's to put off foraging things like goats browsing on these plants, because you know the less plants there are, the more competition there is to eat the plant. So the more aromatic more aromatic oils you have in the plant itself, the less animals are going to want to eat it, which is ironic why it's the one reason we like eating them. So there is a lot of variation between oreganos from the Middle East all the way through to Western Europe. Now, this typical oregano, which I bought in a UK garden centre, is not a very big plant. It's quite low growing. It's not really my ideal solution for growing oregano. So I harvested some seeds out of this. I looked inside this oregano mix. I saw there was some small little seed, the spherical sort of little pods at the end of the flowers, and I thought I'd try my luck. And woe and behold, I germinated quite a lot of them. Now I've got about four pots like this. In this particular pot, I only got one little plant, because it's so precious and it's upstairs. I didn't want to risk dropping it on the way down. But I crushed one leaf of this, just one leaf of this tiny seedling, and it kicks the hell out of any leaves. A whole stem crushed to that. So there you go. So if you're Greek or Italian, you know, there are specific smells and aromas to your specific region. Now the Latin name for Oreganum means lives on a mountain. So this can take quite cool temperatures. Even though it likes sunny and well-drained sites and it thrives in a warm climate, it will take the cold. And I've, over the years, been amazed just how much torture in terms of cold weather oregano can take. Even underneath snow, it will come back and it will thrive. As long as it's not too wet and it rots, oregano can come back. It can tolerate extremely cold temperatures. It is a perennial and it should grow back every year. So really, oregano should be Oreganum vulgaris. Vulgaris itself is the one that's in this pot from the garden centre. But there's also, I've seen an advertised seed packet at the moment with a very accurate picture of what I think to be is Greek oregano, and it's the really rigid 2 foot tall plant with arrow shaped leaves, really rigid, really woody, and you can literally harvest that, bunch that up, hang that upside down in bin liners on a sunny day and dry it slowly. It's got really rigid stems. That's what I think of when I have oregano. And my uncle, even when I was younger, what he'd do is he'd get all the chicken on the grill and he'd have it on the rotisserie, and he'd always, even in North London, he would bring out the old bin liner with his rigid stems and he'd just flick the leaves and the dried flowers onto that meat. And I'll tell you what, you cannot compare. You cannot compare this to what you buy in a supermarket and this stuff. Now when I did a little bit of extra reading, I discovered that Cyprus has got its own endemic oregano. Who would have thought it? And it's a very, very robust, rare type of oregano, and it has big spiky flower heads. And it's exactly the ones, when I researched this at length, the ones that I saw in the village when I was younger. And I'm so happy I've managed to germinate some seeds from this spice mix from the village, and it's actually growing. The fact that one tiny little leaf off the side of that seed, I shouldn't even be taking leaves off of this, crushed, is about 10 times as strong as that. So, you know, from the research I've done, Italian oregano through to Greek oregano is a little bit more rigid and a little bit more aromatic. And then when you go all the way over to the Middle East, Turkey, Cyprus, and then you've got oregano syricum, Syrian oregano. So the further you go east, the spicier and more varied the oregano smells and tastes. So, you know, it could be that what I have here is a combination, because, you know, Cyprus is surrounded by Turkey, Syria, Egypt. It's very possible this own endemic type in Cyprus has got its own mixtures, because the seeds are very small, they could have been blown on the wind. It's very, very interesting how that this specific oregano to Cyprus has such a powerful smell. And I'm so blimmin' happy that I managed to germinate something out of this, because you ain't going to get it out of a seed packet, mate. If I manage to grow these on a decent level, I will propagate them and I will offer them through the website without a doubt, and that's what I'm going to be aiming to do. I might have to get rid of any of these other types. I don't want any cross-pollination. So Oregano onites is the Latin name for the one commonly found across Greece and Turkey, more rigid sort of stems. Oregano Syrinum, across Syria, Israel, the Middle East. And Oregano Cordifolium, the endemic native oregano of Cyprus. I don't know if I've got a mixture of the Greek one and the Cordifolium in here, but I'm pretty certain that the ones they gather in the mountains just near that village, and if you read up on it, it's that north-western part of Cyprus is where this endemic one comes from, and that's why I'm pretty sure the oregano in Cyprus is like none other you will ever smell and taste. So there you have it, oregano. Don't get too bogged down in oregano marjoram. If you like cooking from a specific region and you like the cuisine of that specific region, you need to do a bit of research on that specific oregano, because they might as well be different plants in terms of their smell and aroma. There's many different types. So if you're really passionate about your oregano, you might have to go abroad, you might have to buy some seeds, or you might have to take some oregano and try and extract some seeds from that. So there you have it, oregano. Not much to grow in the stuff. Well drained, sunny site, keep it warm, great perennial, great herb, loads of different variations specific to your type of cooking, be it Greek, Italian, Middle Eastern. Oregano, great herb, get out there and grow some!